on the topic of geography. It was the most subtly ingenious crime ever tackled by the Central Police Department. The culprit executed his plan so masterfully that half the city came under suspicion of the police, including several schoolchildren who were unable to come up with a convincing alibi. The time had come to test the computer center's latest equipment. In an effort to show the taxpayers that their money was being put to good use, the inspectors turned over the investigation to some of the mightiest machines available, the likes of which could be found only at the computer center. These computational giants could shoulder any task, no matter how difficult, barring, of course, the prediction of earthquakes, stock market prices, winning lottery tickets, and the fate of any particular individual. In other words, the computers were quite useless for finding out the things people really wanted to know. Once the investigators fed all the available information into the systems, the computers began picking apart and digesting it like starved mastodons. But to the disappointment of all present, the computers were unable to narrow the search down in the least. It is only fair to note, however, that the system did manage to rule out several schoolchildren who had been under suspicion. The results were an absolute catastrophe. The director of the computer center abandoned all rest and sleep in search of an answer. But the man most troubled by the incident was a young intern whose strong faith in the power of analytic computing had received a crippling blow from the unknown culprit. The intern's desire to restore the great machines to glory was so great that he drove his coworkers insane with one suggestion after another. At last, the director's patience ran out, and he sent the irrepressible intern to work with an older computer, a prototype to the modern machines in question, so that the other employees could have a break. The director barely had time to restore order before the intern burst back into the room and announced the name of the criminal, which had been divulged to him by the old computer. The excited intern expressed a desire to go back and find out what led the veteran of criminology to its seemingly instantaneous discovery. Rattled by the events of the last few days, the director found the stress of the situation too great and, after scolding everyone most unkindly, he ordered them all to return to their places. As is often the case, the criminal was caught by the most trivial method. One night, as he was talking in his sleep, he unconsciously mentioned his crimes to his spouse, who, as a law-abiding citizen, seeing no immediate benefits to herself from her husband's illegal activities, reported the information to the police. Need it be said that the name of the sleep talker aligned perfectly with that which the old computer procured? The wonder-struck director ordered the intern to ascertain how the decrepit machine had reached its findings. After some time, the embarrassed intern returned and explained that, among all the suspects, only one was from the East County. And at one point, long ago, the computer had had an operator from the East County who so always struck its keys so violently that the computer still winced when it remembered him. The silence in the room was broken when the young secretary piped up, confirming the truthfulness of the old electronic detective's claims, for she, too, once knew a man from the East County who had very dirty thoughts. "I've had enough," the manager suddenly declared. "I'm leaving you all for the department down the hall." But almost immediately, he changed his mind. On second thought, "No," he told his dazed employees. "I couldn't leave you all. And, for that matter, I seem to remember that the director of the department down the hall is from the East County,